He was the only person she trusted, the one she believed would never hurt her, the one person she allowed herself to be completely vulnerable with. But she never imagined that the same person would one day become the reason her entire world would fall apart. Her name was Emily, a simple, soft-spoken college student who lived a quiet life, stayed focused on her studies, and avoided unnecessary drama at all costs. She believed in honesty, loyalty, and building genuine connections, which is why when she entered a relationship with Jason, she gave him her full trust without hesitation. Jason, on the surface, was everything anyone could admire. He was confident, well-spoken, socially active, and had a natural charm that made people gravitate toward him. To everyone around him, he appeared like the perfect partner, someone dependable and ambitious. For Emily, he was not just her boyfriend, but also her closest companion, the person she shared her thoughts, her time, and her emotions with. However, over time, subtle changes began to appear in Jason's behavior. At first, they were small things that anyone might ignore. His replies started getting delayed, conversations became shorter, and plans they once made together were often postponed or canceled. Emily tried not to overthink it. She convinced herself that maybe he was just busy, maybe his responsibilities had increased, or maybe he was simply going through a phase. But deep down, a quiet feeling began to grow inside her, a feeling that something was not quite right. One evening, that feeling became impossible to ignore. Without telling Jason, she decided to visit him at his apartment, hoping to surprise him and spend some time together. As she arrived and approached his door, she noticed something unusual. The door wasn't completely shut. It was slightly open, enough to let voices escape from inside. She paused for a moment, her hand hovering near the door, as she tried to understand what she was hearing. Curiosity pushed her to move closer quietly, and as she stood near the entrance, she heard Jason's voice clearly, along with another person. Jason was laughing, speaking casually, as if he had no concerns in the world. Then came the words that changed everything. He was talking about her, saying that she still believed everything he told her, that it was too easy to keep her convinced, and that she never questioned anything he said. Emily stood frozen, unable to process what she was hearing at first. But what followed made it even worse. Jason continued, explaining that his relationship with her was not as genuine as it seemed, that she had simply been useful to him in more ways than one, and that once he achieved what he wanted, he would move on without any hesitation. In that moment, something inside Emily broke, but not in the way one might expect. She did not cry, she did not rush inside, and she did not create a scene. Instead, she quietly stepped away from the door, her expression calm, but her mind fully aware that everything had changed. The person she trusted the most had just revealed his true intentions, and now she had a choice to make. From that night onward, Emily was no longer the same. She made a silent decision that she would not allow emotions to control her actions. Instead, she would observe, think, and act with patience. The very next day, she behaved exactly as she always had around Jason. She continued texting him, meeting him, and maintaining the same tone and energy as before, giving him no reason to suspect that anything was different. Jason, completely unaware of what she had discovered, continued living comfortably, believing that he still had full control over the situation. But behind her calm appearance, Emily had started seeing everything with a new perspective. She paid attention to his habits, the inconsistencies in his conversations, the way he interacted with others, and the small details that previously went unnoticed. Gradually, she began connecting the dots, realizing that Jason's behavior was not accidental, but part of a larger pattern of manipulation and self-interest. As days turned into weeks, Emily continued gathering information quietly without raising any suspicion. She understood that confronting him immediately would not have the same impact as letting the truth unfold at the right moment. So she remained patient, letting Jason continue his routine while she prepared herself mentally and strategically. Jason, on the other hand, became even more comfortable. He believed that Emily was still unaware of anything, still trusting, still dependent on him. This false sense of security made him careless. And without realizing it, he began exposing more of his actions and intentions through his own behavior. Meanwhile, Emily had already positioned herself in a way where she could observe and understand his world more deeply. She was not acting out of anger anymore, but out of clarity and control. She knew that the outcome would depend not on confrontation, but on timing. The opportunity finally arrived on the day of Jason's important presentation. a moment that he believed would secure his future and open new doors for him. He walked into the room confident, prepared, and completely unaware that the foundation he was standing on was already unstable. As he began presenting, everything seemed to go smoothly at first. But then subtle disruptions started occurring. Technical issues appeared, slides began to behave unexpectedly, and soon the presentation started revealing content that was never meant to be shown. Private messages, hidden conversations, and evidence of his double life began appearing on the screen one after another. The room slowly shifted from attention to confusion, and then to silence as people started realizing what was being exposed in front of them. Jason's confidence began to fade as he tried to regain control, but the situation had already moved beyond his reach. Each moment that passed made it clearer that the truth was no longer hidden, and everything he had carefully kept under wraps was now visible to everyone present. In a matter of minutes, the image he had built of himself collapsed completely, not through confrontation but through exposure. After the presentation ended, Jason rushed outside, overwhelmed and unable to process what had just happened. His mind was racing, trying to understand how everything had gone so wrong, and that's when he saw her. Emily was standing there calmly, as if she had been waiting for that exact moment. In that instant, everything became clear to him. When he asked her if she had anything to do with it, he was no longer confident or in control. He was searching for answers. Emily, however, remained composed. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't express anger, and she didn't need to prove anything with words full of emotion. Instead, she simply looked at him and spoke with calm certainty, telling him that trust is something that must be earned and betrayal always carries consequences. In that moment, Jason understood that the biggest mistake he had made was not just his actions, but underestimating the person he thought would never see through him. While he had been focused on using people to build his future, Emily had been quietly observing, learning, and preparing for the right moment. And in the end, it wasn't anger, revenge in the traditional sense, or confrontation that brought him down. It was patience, awareness, and the ability to wait until the truth revealed itself naturally, because sometimes the most powerful revenge is not loud, it is silent, calculated, and perfectly timed.